Hello there, this is Jonathan from Neutronized. I am the creator of Super Cat Tales, and today we're gonna talk about the top 10 spooky video game enemies. Top 10 spooky video game enemies is part of this year's Halloween special, and we're gonna check out my top 10 spooky video game enemies that you'll find in most video games, including my latest game Super Cat Tales 2. Okay, let's start with our list and see which are the spookiest enemies.
Number 10.
Spiders. Spiders are quite common enemies you'll find in most games. In Super Cat Tales 2, spiders can be found both indoors and outdoors. They're not very dangerous as they're only able to move vertically and their range is quite limited, unless they're giant. Giant spiders are way more dangerous.
Number 9.
Evil robots. Evil robots are represented in Super Cat Tales 2 by the Teen Army, led by Lord Iridium. Evil robots are usually organized and cold-minded. They're not really that spooky, but they get an extra point for their skills and planning world domination, and other evil things.
Number 8.
Frogs. Okay, I personally like frogs and I don't find them that spooky. In fact, frogs are one of my favorite animals, but I must acknowledge that some people are freaked out by frogs and toads, so I decided to put them in the list for this year's Halloween special. Frogs are part of the enemies of Super Cat Tales 2 and they can be found near water sources generally. I use frogs in other games as well, like Drop Wizard, and I give frogs an extra spooky point because evil spells can even turn you into a frog, like in many RPG games like Final Fantasy VII, for example.
Number 7.
Ghosts. Ghosts are an all-time classic. They are among the most common enemies in video games, from Mario to Super Cat Tales. For Super Cat Tales 2, I created a cemetery level literally populated by ghosts. I programmed them following the same behavior from Mario games since it's an all-time classic that I totally love. Ghosts are shy if you look at them, but chase you when you turn your back. All ghosts should be programmed this way.
Number 6.
Slimes. Okay, once again, I don't think slimes are that spooky, but they are a very common enemy, and like for frogs, some people freak out in front of slimy things. Slimes can represent quite a hazard since they can hide, stretch, duplicate when you hit them, or be nearby slippery surfaces like in Super Cat Tales 2. Just to let you know about my love for slimes, keep in mind I even made a game called Slime Pizza with a slime as main character.
Number 5.
Clowns. Clowns are scary. That's it.
Number 4.
Skeletons. Skeletons are quite common enemies found in many video games. They can both be easy to defeat or, in certain video games, even immortal. They are a staple of video game history and they will always be. In Super Cat Tales, I even had fun putting a skeleton boss or even skeleton-based hazards like this skull decoration located in the cemetery level.
Number 3.
Bats. Well, what else to say? Bats are a pain in the neck in most video games. There's probably no video game without them. These enemies can be found both indoors or outdoors, inside caves or cemeteries. They chase you in the dark, and in most games they are very difficult to defeat as they can fly and be able to move both vertically and horizontally.
Number 2.
Death. Death, or the Grim Reaper, is nearly on top of our list. Death is the cause of every game over in video games, and I think its best representation in video games is made by the so-called hurry up enemy that appears in certain video games when it takes you too long to clear the stage. In this case, you cannot defeat Death. The only way to temporarily escape Death is by defeating all the remaining enemies. If you fail to do so, you will inexorably meet your end caused by the Grim Reaper himself.
Number 1.
Dark Matter. I originally wanted to put Death on number 1, but then I decided that there's a bigger evil. This is Dark Matter. While the Grim Reaper could, to some extent, represent the equilibrium between life and death, Dark Matter just represents evil, and it's the root of every evil in video games. Dark Matter represents the final boss of my game Super Cattails 1 and Drop Wizard. It's usually a very difficult boss to defeat, and I'm thinking about putting Dark Matter back into Super Cattails 2. Well, this is all for this Halloween special. What do you think about my list? Do you like my choices? Please don't hesitate to subscribe and let me know in the comments if you have other ideas for my top 10 spooky video game enemies. Thanks for watching and see you guys soon.